Welcome to the Salt Circle Podcast. My name is Hank. With me today is someone who watches The Watchmen.
Okay, well,
It's
you
Ben.
didn't have to do me out in public
It's Ben,
like
by
that.
the way.
What if my employer sees
Today
this?
we're here to talk about The Watchmen, the comic book, and I guess the movie.
Yeah,
Okay. We'll
I
talk
mean,
a little about the movie too.
a little bit about a little bit about the movie, mostly about the comic, I guess. Also, does vinegar give you a headache if you smell it for too long? It's not dangerous, is it?
Fucking no.
I was boiling
I've
vinegar
never just
earlier,
sat and
now
smelled
it's-
vinegar for.
Well, it's everywhere now. I got a bit of a headache going. I'm not sure if it's like, should I be worried? My God, is this another Ben dies at the end episode? I don't like those.
Maybe don't spill vinegar everywhere. That seems like a mistake.
Oh, I didn't spill it. I've been boiling it,
Oh.
cleaning purposes.
Oh.
Anyway, you know who wouldn't need to boil vinegar to clean shit? Professor Manhattan.
Oh. Or Rorschach, because he just lives in filth.
I'm an animal. People are animals. I just so yeah, that's a good jumping point.
Uh-huh.
One of my biggest gripes with the film is the voice work for like everybody.
Look, it's very of its era.
Yeah. I mean, that's not like, yeah, in the comic, of course, we have like Rorschach's mannerisms, like how he talks and stuff. That's very obviously a thing, but I don't think I ever envisioned his voice as being like Batman light at all. And that's what it was. And then when Dr. Manhattan shows up, I'm like, oh, here we go. And then he's like, hey. And it just very unsettling. Not expected. I don't necessarily disagree with the interpretation, but freaked me out. Wasn't expecting Mr. Soft spoken. Yeah, and as I mentioned, I had absolutely no idea that like Rorschach was such an edgy character. Even more so, like in the book, sure, and I forget. I remember you telling me about it, but I forget who exactly was involved. But someone was like, "Oh, people come up to me and they're like, oh, I am Rorschach," and I'm like, "Get away from me, please." I forget who it was. One of the creators or story, like something. Somebody you had mentioned like had that anecdote. And reading that makes sense, but they dialed it up in the film. They really did.
There's some sort of truck right outside. It's picking on mic. Oh well. Yeah. So, fun fact about Rorschach, as this garbage truck goes by. His manner of speaking is based on a character called Herbie Popnicker, which I'm sending you a link to a Wikipedia article.
Oh, dear.
So every time Rorschach speaks, you should really imagine that. That's what you should picture.
A little fat nothing named Herbie. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, man. There are a lot of Herbie comics, but that his manner of that pattern of speech is based on that character. So, then that fat nerd, emotionless, terse, irresistible to women, consulted by world leaders, nearly omnipotent, and more powerful than Satan. Herbie
Great.
Popnecker.
Good lord. I
And
mean, that
of
makes
course, like all the Watchmen characters are based on actual other characters. I forget what brand they were. But like, so Rorschach is based on the Question,
okay.
and Dr. Manhattan is Captain Atom.
Ah. I was gonna, because they refer to him as Superman. Like Superman is real and he's American.
Yep. I mean, that's just a thing, but yeah.
Yeah. I I don't think it was in the book, but one of I think it was an additional line for the film that I liked was people like saying, "Oh, you said superhero is real and he's American." He's like, "No, no, 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 no. I never said that. I said God is real and he's American." Like he changes it. It's pretty good.
Charlton Comics. That was the company.
Okay.
And then DC acquired those characters and brought them into the DC universe, and Moore wanted to use them to write Watchmen, but ended up just doing analogs for all of them.
Okay. So
my biggest minor dumb complaint about the movie is Night Owl isn't fat enough. That's
yeah, they slimmed him down. Like Ozymandias is also like he's a little too thin. He's not as like the hair is there, the mannerisms are there, but I was expecting someone a little more buff, I guess. Also, I mean, biggest complaint, hands down, is like the entire ending.
Like, well, yeah, that's the major complaint everyone has with that movie.
Yeah. Just real dumb.
Like, why?
So many things wrong. Aside from the act of not having the balls to put in a big old CGI alien squid. Like, okay, you guys are gonna unite against Dr. Manhattan. You're gonna lose, I guess. They if not a squid, something that they could actually kill. And then just the change in tone, because like in the book everybody is on, like, they don't like it. They don't like that Ozymandias, I forget the dude's actual name. What's Ozymandias' regular?
Ozymandias?
Yeah. Something.
Yeah, I forget.
Alan? Is it Alan? Strikes me as an Alan. I can open my book here.
As an Alan.
Vite?
Adrian Vite.
Adrian. You know,
right.
Alan, Adrian, same energy. Like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick to superhero names. They're all just white. I can't. All white people just look the same, you know. Well, no, there's there's Night Owl, there's Rorschach, there's Dr. Manhattan, there's Ozzy, whoever, and there's Laura. And there's the comedian, and there's like Night Owl 1 or something. I don't know. But everybody at the end of the book who's involved in those sequences is like, they don't like that they have to keep quiet about Ozzy's plan, but they accept that it's like the best route. Like, it's bad, but it's already been done. So like, we're not gonna throw away what happened if we're already here. Except Rorschach, of course. And then in the film, like, they changed that tone, which annoyed me more than the lack of squid. But yeah,
I don't remember how they changed it. Honestly,
they made they made Night Owl like really pissed about everything instead of like, yeah, we have to accept this, and he's like, basically after Dr. Manhattan offs Rorschach, he gets really upset and he like really dislikes both Dr. Manhattan and Adrian.
Mm.
And it's just less, yeah, and meh. The world wasn't ready for the real ending, I guess. Cause what year did the film come out? 2009? No, 2000
Something.
2000. Yeah, it was before we were balls deep in the superhero films. At any rate,
2009. Yeah.
okay. And I did the director's cut, not the ultimate cut that has the black freighter animated film in it.
Oh, okay. I've never seen that animated film, honestly.
Yeah, it sounded like too much, and turn on the film. It's 3 hours. I don't want more.
Yeah.
I do think
We have a lot to cover, to be fair. But
yeah. I like, for the most part, it's an okay adaptation. It's not. I don't think it does anything terrible. The soundtrack is terrible, but it doesn't do anything with the story, like in characters. What, the soundtrack is a mess.
I mean, the only things I remember positively about that movie are musical moments, which is the montage at the beginning and then when All Along the Watchtower kicks in.
Montage at the beginning was pretty good. I just my complaint is mostly that it doesn't feel as consistent. I
don't remember anything else about the music except those
Okay.
those two moments, which are like my favorite moments.
See,
of the
and
movie,
that's the problem. It's like you have something like Guardians of the Galaxy, right, where the soundtrack is it's like a big part, kind of, in the sense that it's like it's there and it's something that is kind of focused on. In this, they were like, it feels like, man, you guys feel like some classic rock up in here? I think we could do a classic rock song, but just in these areas. Like, it's not sprinkled. The Hallelujah bit when Night Owl and Laura are boning down. I had never heard the original version of Hallelujah before. I thought it was a terrible cover, honestly. I thought it was like some weird, like, postmodern drunk guy, like, singing the song. And they're just like, it's just a sex montage. And I was dying. Like, I thought I was going to pass out from lack of oxygen. It was absurd. So, that was a special moment.
How dare you shit on Leonard Cohen like that?
Yeah, well, you should have been better. That one song. Yeah. So, I understand. I feel like I understand very little, but still some of the concepts that the comic book is trying to touch on. One of which, of course, is who watches the Watchmen, right? Obviously, they get on that, but, and I've been thinking, like, at first I'm like, okay, well, there was, like, they said that line like once, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized, like, how truly central this is. And I think, I don't know, it's not, I mean, it's obvious, but it's not like Animal Farm obvious, I guess. If that makes sense. Like, it's not.
It's a pretty straightforward theme.
Yeah.
But it's not like,
They're not stating it directly.
It's not a sledgehammer over your head repeatedly.
Yeah.
You're saying?
Yeah. So yeah, I thinking on that, I was that's obviously a thing. Is there other stuff that they're commenting on?
I mean, for the thing for me is I don't really care about the story anymore with Watchmen. Watchmen for me, really, it's about the craft of the comic book making.
Okay.
Like the 9-panel grids, which was like kind of the thing this comic invented.
Really?
In terms of like this, yeah, because it the way it builds the whole thing and that constraint and the way that the comic has to fill out that space turns out to just be pretty special, and it also turns out to be like the most amount of work for a comic book artist. Like for whatever reason 9 panels is like the most work, and if you go above that it starts to become easier because there's less detail to show.
Yeah,
it's something about like the amount of space that's using on the page.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just leafing through it now. Yeah, it's all 9 panels, and then like occasionally they merge 2 together, 3 or 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I know this was actually the only reason I have this book like physically is my sister had to read it for, I think it was some sort of media class, where I assume that along with this story they were looking at like how it's put together and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm sure that was part of it. She did not read it. I got done with it, and because I read it on the plane ride back to Russia, and I texted her. I'm like, I read through Watchmen. Did you read this whole thing? She's like, I skimmed, if you could call it that. Yeah, okay, that checks out.
Yeah. So there are plenty of also like bad influences Watchmen's had on comics, like that people took away from it. Serious stories should have rape in them.
Oh,
that was no good. That was no good. That was a bad lesson.
Yeah, that's a that's in that stupid cartoon intro that you just have, and the guy's like, "How can I get my kiss?" I'm like, do they do this? What?
No.
Yeah, no, it's a fake cartoon intro. It was
Saturday
fake, but it
Morning
had me
Watchmen
going. It had me
fake.
going for quite a while. Like,
look, those 80 cartoons are built on tropes that were done over and over again with different properties. So that part of much, like if they had done it, it wouldn't have been far off from that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was so like, I was confused.
Yeah, no, they didn't start really trying to merchandise Watchmen till more recently.
Yeah.
When DC had like given up, and it's just like for whatever reason, Watchmen. So Watchmen's also like the best-selling comic book ever. It's like I don't know, if you go to like a Target, like probably the only comic book they'll have other than kids stuff is Watchmen. Like kids books, like it for whatever reason, because of all like the acclaim and because it's really good. I don't know, and for whatever, like it's just in the consciousness as a book that people buy rather than actually going out for other comics and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of like in that way though, it's kind of like a dead end. Like it's hard to know what to recommend to someone after they read Watchmen.
Yeah, and that's kind of I was thinking about that as well when I was reading. I know you mentioned that some of the stuff it does is going to appeal more to people who read comics and past that even read superhero comics, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of thinking like especially with my sister's media class reading this, like my sister sure as fuck isn't gonna read a comic in her entire life, much less all of this. So like the idea of people just doing this comic as a one-off is weird, to say the least.
Because it's like a deconstruction from, the 80s. Like, it's also like old at this point.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's responding to what comics were then, and like comics since then have all been responding to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's like oh, you've never listened to pop music. Here's Smells Like Teen Spirit. I don't know. Like, just like something that like was responding to what it was and changed stuff for a time or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's just out of context. It's just like it's not gonna mean the same thing even close. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
It does hold up way better than the other comic book from that time, Dark Knight Returns, that people hold up, which is fine, but Watchmen holds up better as a comic, I'd say.
Dark Knight Returns, that's Batman?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm that it's that Dark Knight.
So that's like one where like people read it, it's like, oh, Batman, it's so dark and edgy, and it's like, this is like a hard response to Adam West Batman. Like, this is not the Batman that's in this comic is like supposed to be like the Adam West TV show Batman. That's the Batman that has now gone old and jaded, but like nobody reads it and knows that mostly anymore.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. But also like that one, like Batman snaps the Joker's neck and stuff.
Shit.
It's not. It's like no. He breaks the Joker's neck and then the Joker snaps his own neck.
Okay.
But also, Batman totally uses guns in that comic. It just happens.
So speaking of Joker, obviously there's like probably a large, if not entire, overlap between people who idolize Rorschach and people who idolize Joker, specifically Heath Ledger's portrayal of Joker, and what's his name? What's the latest dude?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. How do you pronounce his name?
Joaquin.
Joaquin? Okay. I've never heard it said aloud, so the last bit I was sure of. Yeah, so I would say it's safe to say that there's an overlap there. And based on what you told me about the interaction with one of the creators and people who idolize Rorschach, like that's been a thing for quite a while now. Do you know if like the Joker has always had that connotation, or like when he started to get it? Because obviously for me, I'm not like, that's for a long time that was like the Joker was Heath Ledger, and people were, if they branched out into comics past that or into other things, it was the origin point was still those films, or that film rather.
Yeah.
So I guess I like, were there comics before this where people were like, "Oh, I'm Joker. We live in a society."
I mean, Killing Joke is also just one of those comics that's overread by people, which is that's another Alan Moore comic.
Gotcha.
And that's like the Joker shows up and shoots Barbara Gordon and paralyzes her for life. And that one's way more about like, oh, like Batman being pushed to the extreme, and also Batman's crazy. Like, it's a weird book that wasn't supposed to be canon either, because like Batman is fucking weird in that comic.
Yeah.
But it was so popular it became canon because people liked it so much. So it has a weird thing. But really, like, I mean, So Joker kind of changed as a character when they brought him back and he killed Robin.
Right.
And which is a story where people got to vote whether Robin would live or die.
And they all killed him off.
No, it was like incredibly close, but they
Wow.
voted for him to die. But it was very slim margin. And then Joker kills him by beating him to death with a crowbar.
Hell yeah. I mean, how else?
So-
what other way would be better?
I don't know. It's kind of brutal. But, because, like, the Joker is like a jokey. He's an agent of chaos, but it's fun. Like, that thing that's become more and more about the Joker is like, why doesn't Batman just kill Joker? And, like, that kind of breaks the fiction. Because, like, Batman's not going to kill Joker. That's not going to happen. But the darker and darker you push Joker, the more you have to ask that question if you're thinking about it, and the less it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, by making Joker darker, you're kind of breaking Batman. Because Batman's a character for children. Like, he's a real child fantasy of, like, what if I just could do whatever I want and I was the boss of my dad?
Yeah. Yeah. That Alfred.
Yeah. Like, what if my dad worked for me?
Oh,
And
no.
I got to tell him what to do.
Okay.
So you kind of break the fiction, I think, when you make that too serious. But
Yeah.
also, like, Joker, I think, is weird in that, like, every other Batman villain, you can give them a tragic backstory and it makes them better. And I just think that's not true for Joker. I think every time they try to give him an origin story, it sucks and it makes him less interesting and weakens him. So, I don't know. There's like a purity to his chaotic evil that is lessened when you explain it.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
Try to put a reason to it. Because then he's just like anyone else. And I also don't get like the... So instead of the Killing Joke, the example I'm going to use is the Lego Batman movie.
Okay.
Where the Joker's just like all like in love with Batman and like getting Batman to recognize him as his like arch enemy or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like no. The Joker's the good Batman villain just because he's the opposite. He's this chaotic force and Batman is this ordered, controlled hero. So it's like not all the personal connection stuff are like really trying to link them. I hate it. I hate all of it. Joker should just show up and make stories more interesting. That was what's good about the Heath Ledger Joker in The Dark Knight is he's out is to make the movie more interesting because he's out to make things happen
Yeah.
and like do stuff, and like that's good and makes for fun stories. And anything more than that is like ruining that. So like whatever. There's a comic where the Joker tries to kill Batman on the moon so he can Batman and Robin on the moon so he can be the first person to committed a crime on the moon.
I mean, that's
a good idea.
yeah. That's respectable. A respectable goal. Have you...
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting a little off track, but I have to ask. Have you seen Batman Ninja on Netflix, or Ninja Batman, or whatever it's called?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I don't know what that is even.
Me neither.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't watched it because, like, you're my authority on it. Reimagined by Japan's finest artists, Batman must face his foes in feudal Japan while a malfunctioning Quake engine transports them all back in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just DC puts out a lot of animated movies.
Gotcha.
That were direct to DVD. There's like it's a long lineage, and the Batman ones are the most popular, so they just keep making Batman ones.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Pump it, dude.
I don't know. I was watching all of them till I got sick of them being mediocre, and I stopped entirely.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought I would ask.
Yeah, no. It's just DC does. They had a line called Elseworlds, which was just like they would be a miniseries or a little oversized issue. It takes place in an alternate universe.
Yeah.
That's like a classic thing DC does. So that's just like one of those, basically.
Okay.
And Elseworlds. It's a fantasy story. This isn't real. It's not real. That is a branding DC would put on certain comics. Like I think it was in the Silver Age.
It's not.
They wanted to do something crazy that was like they didn't want it to be canon. They say this is a fantasy story.
Oh my god.
Or something.
It's not real.
Just had special words. This one isn't real. This one doesn't count.
Ninja Batman isn't real. He can't hurt you.
Until they introduce the multiverse, and then they're all just in alternate worlds and can cross over for big events or whatever.
I mean,
when they all die.
I'm just waiting for following the success of Spider-Verse. When are we gonna get like 12 Batmen working together in a film?
I mean, that's just DC sleeping on the job. Or actually, you just haven't watched Batman: Brave and the Bold, because that definitely happens there.
Great.
A cartoon. It's a good time. I like Batman: Brave and the Bold.
I'm more of a Batman Beyond.
Silly Batman. It's like Silver Agey.
Gotcha. So is there...
The first episode has the third Blue Beetle, whose voice is the same voice as Terry McGinnis's actor from Batman Beyond.
Okay. So is there anything that you wanted to discuss with Watchmen? Like, either in general, or if there's like something you wanted to, if there's any like new reader questions that need to be asked or something. I don't know.
Well, I also like the thing that really makes me love Watchmen is the Dr. Manhattan stuff with him experiencing everything at once, because that's just one of those things that gets me every time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you do a character unstuck in time, you got me. I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
Best example is Kurt Vonnegut's stuff, but yeah. Yeah, I just like that thing. And like Watchmen was a comic, I read it in college when I was getting back into comics after having kind of quit for a bunch of years. And that was when I first got started into DC stuff too. Because I'd just been a Marvel kid as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Except for like the cartoon stuff, the DC animated stuff was just better than the Marvel stuff. It was just higher quality. Even though I still just liked Marvel inherently more. DC's like Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series was clearly better cartoons, and those have aged much better than the Spider-Man and X-Men cartoons of the 90s. Yeah, but so Watchmen again, like I was like anyone else getting into serious comics. I read Watchmen, and it's very good. It's excellent. It's excellently structured.
Yeah.
That ticking clock metaphor, the countdown to disaster, the giant squid. Pretty good.
Squid.
It's a pretty good bit.
I like that there's sort of, I mean, all of the heroes kind of seem like they're Batman to some extent. Like they don't act. We're not dealing with like Flash.
Well, yeah, they're
and whatever, you know.
they're crime fighters.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not
Minutemen.
superheroes.
Yeah.
They're masked heroes. They're like the heroes before Superman.
Gotcha.
Like the Phantom, like the the Shadow, like serialized heroes who wore masks but did not have powers. They were just people. And there was like that Batman comes out of that tradition. But yeah, that was it was like a genre before Superman came around and changed what that meant, what was expected in.
But then the fact that
world.
like they're just side by side with Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, well, so that's like it's like mirroring what happened. That's one of the cool things about how the story works is it's mirroring what actually happened in comic books in like this is what's happening in this real world. Real world, I in quotes of Watchmen's world where there are masked heroes and then a Superman comes, whereas like you don't have the world in which Superman exists before Superman. Like you have to re-engineer it to say this is a world that exists with these characters and then this one comes in because Superman comes into his own world. Like that's the start of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of like going back and then re-engineering based on like that idea happening.
Gotcha.
But then there aren't any other superheroes.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird.
I mean,
But,
one of the characters has the superpower of money.
Oh, Ozymandias does catch a bullet.
That's true. You know what? Yeah.
It's like he's basically a superhero because he has also super intelligence, which is a superpower.
That he decided to be intelligent. That's the real intelligence.
Yeah, he counts, I guess.
Yeah, I think I think Dr. Manhattan is the character I'm most interested in. Probably.
It's because you see his dick.
Yeah, big blue schlong, and I'm there. You
It's
know
just
how I am with
funny
my
how,
comics.
Like, that one panel where they draw him full bare. It's like, no, that's his thing. Gotta show Dr. Manhattan's dick when he shows up.
Yeah, man. Any excuse.
So, fun fact, the most recent DC big event had Dr. Manhattan. It was Doomsday Project and had Dr. Manhattan in it. So, like, Superman has seen Dr. Manhattan's dick. Mary Marvel, a small girl, a young woman, has seen Dr. Manhattan's dick and commented on it.
It's fine, though.
It didn't have to be a thing.
It's different when you're a super being.
Is it?
I mean,
just put on your thong.
Maybe that's not.
It's not that hard.
Maybe that's not his dick. Maybe his regular dick is smaller.
I mean, he does get to make his dick whatever size he wants it.
Thank God he's not a furry. Walking around with a big old horse penis.
No, he's just a bald man.
Yeah.
His true self.
I'm kind of upset. Like in the comic, they elaborate on his descent from fully clothed person to non-clothed person, but they don't explain why. They just it's just like he slowly grew tired of clothes or something. It bugs me that we didn't get an answer. Out of everything in that comic, that might be what I want an answer to the most. Like, why did Dr. Manhattan gotta strip down? We all have to deal with clothes. It's not fair that he doesn't have to.
Because he doesn't care about other people.
Well, clearly.
He doesn't care about society.
Or like that hot take on, what was it when JFK got shot, that he was like, all the particles are the same whether someone's dead or alive, so there's no difference. It was just a really spicy take.
He's lost perspective.
Yeah.
He's lost the trees for the forest.
Which is, I suppose that's, I guess, just a result of him. I don't know. What is it? Is it a result of him like being stuck in time, or I guess I'm trying to piece together like what all stuff he can do that would lead him to think that way. Because I guess I know at one point he said he's experienced stuff that is too quick to have been said to have happened. So something, because like, I don't know. It has to be the stuck in
People
time
are boring.
thing, I guess.
He gets bored with people.
Yeah.
I think would be the simplest way to say it. Like, look, man, he's just trying to have sex, and then suddenly he's like, "What if there were two of me?" And she gets all freaked out.
I fucking love that he's like, "I thought you would like this." Are you telling me you're not into spit roasting, Laura? Because it really seemed like you were. You strike me as that type of gal. Oh, you prefer bukkake. Say no more. He's a nice guy. Considerate.
He should have asked first.
I mean, yeah, consent is
My
key
hot take.
when double teaming a gal.
No one likes a surprise extra person in their bed.
Especially when it's an identical copy of your big blue boyfriend.
I don't know about especially. Like, what if it were just someone else? Like, a hobo.
Probably.
Just
So
a
Rorschach.
traveling
Rorschach is
fucking
now
man.
in your bed.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's like
I don't know how that could surprise you. Like, just the stink. you smell it coming every time.
John, what's that smell?
Both ways.
I thought you liked this smell, Laura. It's what people call funk.
Rorschach brings the funk.
I will say, like, as much as I hate people who like Rorschach is a fun character. Like, his stuff is good. Everything in the prison is great. Like,
Yeah, no. That's definitely just like people got too into it.
Yeah.
They ruined it.
yes.
Because I mean, I really liked the like you're stuck in here with me line.
Yeah.
And that whole issue the first time I read it, and it's like just means less and less to me. It's like
Yeah. No, I had
going.
a friend for a hot minute back in the day. Online friend, I should say, not in person. That would have been insufferable. Cosplayed as Rorschach, but like half cosplayed as him all the time. Like, wore the hat and trench coat more than he should have, probably. And was like always quoting him and shit.
Bad times.
And
Bad times.
And see, that's why like reading this was kind of bad, because I'm like, oh shit, this was a quote too. Thought it was just something you said. Thought it was from something else. I'm not surprised, but like, Christ. Like of course I knew the whisper line, right? And I'll whisper no. It was in the trailer, I think. So I knew it at least from the film. I didn't know the trapped in here with me. The mannerisms for how we talked, I didn't know that. Just, yeah. We tried to do the voice, and it was like not good. Like when people try.
Did he eat cans of uncooked beans?
Probably.
And say, "Fine, like this."
Fine. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. But see, we're not right. Like I haven't talked to him in literally 10 years, 11 years, 12 years at this point. Like there's a reason, I guess, innately. My subconscious knew.
Yeah. Yeah, so the other big moment in Watchmen is probably the what am I, some kind of serial villain? When he reveals his plan, but then also reveals it's already happened.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's very good.
Yeah. No,
it's very good because that's still a trope.
Yeah.
Like that trope hasn't gone away because of that moment. So you reading it later, you're still like, yeah, that's great.
That was one of the moments that was, I mean, it's great in the book, and it's also great in the film. It's the same impact. Like I read it in the book, it was amazing. I saw it in the film, I wasn't sick of it. It was great again. And what am I, some sort of serial villain? I did it 35 minutes ago. It's so good. That's probably, trying to think like that might be the best moment.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the best moment in the story.
Just like, no, it's too late. He did the thing. The thing happened.
Yeah. I do really like. I did, as I said, I didn't watch it in the film because there's the ultimate cut with the Black Freighter movie, but I did like it in the book. I just didn't. I didn't always like how it was laid out. Like I'm like, come on, I want more of like Rorschach or this person. And they're like, nah, Black Freighter. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Hit me with more Black Freighter. Let's see where this goes. Nope, too bad. Caught in a night owl now. Him and Laura gotta fuck.
Yeah, so there are people who just fucking love the Black Freighter thing, and it never did much for me.
Yeah.
So, like, that cut of the movie exists because there's, like, a large group of people who would complain, because it's like, where's the Black Freighter stuff? It's like, all right, here it is.
Yeah.
Full experience of just straight adaptation of this book. We'll get to it when we talk about the TV show. The TV show, I think, found a good way to get some of the spirit of that into what it was doing.
Okay.
But I think it does it better than the comic book, just because I didn't care for the Black Freighter stuff, and it doesn't feel like it really connects.
Yeah.
But like that idea of like having this side story, that's cool. It like makes the world feel bigger.
Yeah.
It's a different flavor. If you were like buying this every week, that would be cool. Or whatever, or every month it was coming out for a year or something. Like reading it as it was coming out. That was probably good. When you're like reading it like a book straight through.
8 hours on an airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
when you're trying to burn through, like I did, it kind of feels like it's what's the point of this?
Yeah, I think the story's enjoyable, but yeah, it's not. I want one or the other. Like I'll read it That's fine if it pairs well, but I don't want to alternate. Let me do one thing at a time here.
Look, man, you got to be everywhere at once and see everything all at once.
I'm not even blue. How am I supposed to clone myself like that?
You just have to open your mind, see all possibilities at once.
But can Dr. Manhattan see why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
So Night Owl's based on Blue Beetle.
Okay.
And there was a Blue Beetle 2 and a Blue Beetle 1. And Blue Beetle 1 was a Batman knockoff. So, like, the idea of, terrifying villains by becoming the scariest animal. A beetle.
A beetle?
Yes, it's terrifying, man.
I mean...
Be terrified.
Maybe if he was like a ladybug?
A giant blue beetle.
What if he was like a ladybug, though, but he also smelled like a ladybug? That would be horrifying. That's how you win fights.
I need to find a picture of Blue Beetle 1 to show you how scary he was.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Sure.
Like I don't got much going on for fear right now.
Just be terrified.
Yeah, that's a beetle. Holy shit, it's just a beetle. It's just a superhero beetle. Fear grips
a magic thing.
Fear grips underworld.
Yeah.
He had a magic what?
Just a dude. No, he had a beetle, but I think he was just a dude. I think he was just a masked hero. And then Blue Beetle 2 had all the the tech gadgets, like Night Owl does in the movie. And he has like a giant flying beetle instead of a giant owl.
That's a solid ship design though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'd
yeah,
oh yeah.
Rorschach's based on the question, who was created by I think most of the Charlton characters were created by what's his face? Steve Ditko, who co-created Spider-Man.
Gotcha.
But the thing is, Steve Ditko was a complete objectivist, so he really used the question to give diatribes about objectivism. That's how he used that character, like just way too much text of him spouting off.
Yeah.
So they're terrible comics. Like it's one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, no, Spider-Man was good because Stan Lee was writing him and fixing stuff that Ditko was trying. Like, there's, I think the example I like to bring up is like Ditko would draw Spider-Man like shaking his fist at protesters, and then Stan Lee writes in him cheering them on. Because that's just how Marvel made comics. The artists would draw the stuff, and then Stan Lee would fill in the words.
Yeah,
that's how they did it. So that has its ups and downs. But yeah, Steve Ditko, like, he drew some of the best comics, but also he's a piece of shit.
That's pretty great. And shaking his fist.
Yeah. So there's been good stuff with the question that not made by Ditko, but it's all later.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like, honestly, that's pretty much everything I had to say on Watchmen. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me.
The show is a sequel.
Yeah. Tell me straight, is Dr. Manhattan in it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take it. Good enough. I just want more of that dude. Does it take? Is the whole thing in an alternate universe where everything's exactly the same, but it's the universe that Dr. Manhattan created, presumably from wanking into the cosmos?
No.
Well, that's sad, but understandable.
The show, it's both like actually a sequel, but also trying to be like a remix, is the way they described it, in terms of like following some of the structure of Watchmen.
Gotcha.
But it's trying to not be the movie. It's trying to not just be like a straight retelling of the comic events. It's trying to kind of do the thing Watchmen did, but in a different medium, breathe life into.
Sure.
Bring some of that same stuff. And it's also trying to update it. And, it's way more about race. For one thing.
Okay. All right.
It does a lot of interesting stuff. And I think every episode, 1 through 6, gets better than the one before it. And then it tapers off a little, and then it ends pretty well. But
nice. Yeah, I downloaded them. Now I just need to watch them. That's the tricky part. It's like when you
Who
buy...
watches Watchmen? One day it will be Ben.
One day. Well, I was going to say, it's like, buying the game, super easy. You just press the buy button and it's there. Playing the game, that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah. So, what did you think of the reveal of Rorschach's face?
It was better than the Kylo Ren reveal.
I mean, it was at least a character you had seen before in the comic.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't laugh.
Like, that's who Rorschach is. He's the crazy guy shouting about how the end is near.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I thought it was a good move. From an enjoyment standpoint, I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I'm so used to fucking mask reveals in fiction now, where it's not like really a reveal, because like, who the fuck is that? It's no one. It doesn't. It's just a face. You just have a face under there. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, that's I think it was from a comic. I forget if it was a comic or a show, but like someone takes over Flash's body or whatever. He's like, let's see who's under the mask, and he like pulls it off while looking in a mirror, and he's like, huh, I have no idea who this is.
Yeah, that's from the DC animated. That's from Justice League Unlimited.
Gotcha.
But the DC animated universe, that one's like connected. That's the same universe as Batman Beyond.
Okay.
Same people working on it. What's funny about that one is that episode is about where Flash and Lex Luthor swap bodies, and they do the episode because the voice actor for Flash played Lex Luthor on Smallville.
Okay.
But Clancy Brown, who's voice acting Luthor, like completely steals that episode doing Flash. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
My favorite part is he's like, after he's coming out of the bathroom, someone asks him like, "Aren't you gonna wash your hands?" And he goes, "No, 'cause I'm evil."
That's really good.
He understands the criminal mind.
Well, clearly. That's great. 'Cause I
It's like, treats it like it's a trick question. Trying to trap him. Good times.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we can call that an episode.
Because both of us are just gonna pass out.
Yeah. So you can email us at Salt Circle Podcast. Find us on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, various other sources that pull from those same feeds, as Salt Circle Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at Comic Panels, and we're on Twitter at Salt Circle Pod.
I'm on Twitter at bean_LP. Yeah. That was a good one. Watchmen is good. I need
Watchmen.
I
You need.
I need a hot minute before I can like ever read this again. Because doing it in a single sitting was a lot.
Yeah.
But good. I'm looking really forward to the show. And now I can
Yeah.
I remember all the talk about the movie. And now I can finally contribute 10 years later.
Yeah, it turns out that movie's fine. It's just not great.
People were really, the way I had it in my mind, like I thought it was going to be a total fucking flop because I just remember people being pissed about it.
Yeah, no, I don't. It is 3 hours.
Well, yeah.
So I don't know that I'd want to sit through it again, but
No, that's rough no matter how you cut it though. I didn't even sit through it in 3 hours. I did it in 2 parts. Half and half, baby.
like it's a straight adaptation of that story. Like if you hate that movie, maybe that story's not that good.
Yeah.
So it's actually like way more about the craft. So that's like actually my big, now that we're post credits, my big take about Watchmen is like everybody wanted to give Alan Moore credit for writing this great comic, and I just want to give Dave Gibbons all the credit now for drawing it and choosing to do it in 9 panels.
Yeah.
Because it was his idea to do it that way. Like from what I understand, like Alan Moore is like spewing forth from his mouth, and then like it's up to the artist to like turn that into a comic book. And I think Dave Gibbons did a great job.
Yeah. No, it's
because Alan Moore is kind of a crazy piece of shit.
So it's the Rick and Morty problem.
Yeah. Pretty much.
A perfect analogy.
Watchmen is Rick and Morty.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Rorschach fans are Rick and Morty fans.